Distribution feeds delivery. Delivery gets you upsells. Upsells increases the money or cash you'll make per client. Retention just compounds everything. And that's how you scale. People's behavior is driven by their incentives. If you understand what they're incentivized to do, you can predict their behavior, which is a super powerful practice. You can literally predict the behavior of a person. So, like I said, all right, so today you're going to learn the complete sales team agency skeleton that guarantees scale to all the way that 25K a month in 2026 and beyond. And the whole process is built on simple mental models. What are mental models, Saad? Well, they're just frameworks, simple ideas, ways of thinking about problems that help you solve them faster and better. And we're going to use 3 specific ones. The first one is first principle thinking, blitz scaling, and inversion. This is stuff that most people starting an AI agency or like sales team agency just never think about it. And that's why most cap at like 1 to 2K a month. They're focused on tactics. What should I post on LinkedIn? Or should I just use make.com or NA10? Should I sell voice AI agents or just be a consultant? Stuff that rarely makes money, which makes them never experience the beautiful feeling of scale and printing money. But since you are a sales team agency owner and you're watching this because you're an operator, this will help you a ton. All right, so we're going to talk about 4 things. The first is distribution, which is essentially just getting customers, delivery, fulfilling what you've sold, upsells, which is extracting more value, which literally just means more money per client, and retention, which is keeping them paying you month after month. Now, when you understand all 4, scale becomes predictable and it's just a simple formula. So let's break each down using mental models that actually make them work, starting with distribution. Well, this is the first fire that you need to handle first. Obviously, when you start an AI agency, sales team agency, whatever business, there are multiple things you need to handle. But the first thing you need, or the first fire to handle, is getting customers. Because without customers, nothing else matters. Don't make the dumb mistake that most people make, which is thinking about delivery, fulfillment, without even having customers, because they're just backwards. You can't deliver if you have no one to deliver to. You can't fulfill if no one is buying. And I see this all the time. I get asked, Saad, how do I fulfill? And I'm like, how many customers do you have? And they're like, 0. And I just look at them and I'm like, what are you saying? What are you talking about? So don't do it. Get customers first. Everything else is just a distraction. So using first principles, which is the first mental model, what's actually required to get a customer? Strip away all the tactics, strip away all the bullshit and ask, what's actually true? So what's actually required to get a customer? Well, it's having a systematic way to reach potential customers. Basically the same teachings that I show you guys in this channel. So what's actually required to get a customer, you might be thinking? Well, sell things that people need, not want. Notice how I said need, because when I need something, I pay for it. Even if I don't have the money, I'll do everything in my energy to have it. And you can kind of apply the same principle if you're trying to be successful. Do you want to be successful or need to be successful? Completely different thing. So when you need it, you will actually do it. So the first thing is find someone who has a problem to solve and sell them what they need, not what they want. And the second thing is get in front of them. The third thing is show them you can fix it. Fourth thing is make it easy to say yes. That's it. Everything else is just a distraction. Most people get lost in the tactics, the funnels, the ad copy, the sequences, but the fundamentals are dead simple. You need a systematic way to identify people with the exact problem that you solve, reach out to them when they're actually thinking about solving it, prove you can deliver the result they want, then remove the friction from buying. And most beginners, freelancers, and entrepreneurs fail because they don't have a systematic way to do step 1 and 2. They're always scrambling to find the next customer instead of having an actual system that does this for them. Now, let's use inversion. What would guarantee you never get customers? And avoid these things because, as Munger said, the only place that I want to know is a place where I'm gonna die, so I never go there. Well, it's not doing systematic outreach. That's one. Relying on platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, not being consistent, trying LinkedIn today, email outreach the next day, posting content, changing offers. Basically, you just be like panicking, not thinking in like a multidisciplinary approach. Well, okay, so now you know what's required, systematic outreach and what to avoid, inconsistency and panic. Now let's talk about blitz scaling. What does that mean, Saad? Well, it means prioritizing speed over efficiency when you're trying to grow. In distribution, This means volume over perfection. Most people spend 3 weeks crafting the perfect outreach message, building different offers, trying to sell this automation or sales system today, switching to the next automation the next day, this niche this week, then panic when nothing comes. That's not blitz scaling. That's overthinking. And that's not how operators think. So get it together. You need to pick one offer, one niche, one system. You commit to it for like 90 days minimum. Then you do volume. So you're not switching, you're not panicking, you're not perfecting. So what happens now is that you use speed in your advantage because speed of iteration beats perfect strategy. Because you will learn more from like 500 outreach attempts with one offer than from 50 attempts across 10 different niches. Volume creates data, data creates clarity, clarity creates results. That's blitz scaling distribution. Because when you're going from 0 to 25K a month, speed is everything. You need customers fast. You need data fast. You need to know what works fast. So you do systematic outreach at volume, even if it's sloppy, because volume, like I said, creates data and data creates improvement. All right, so you've got customers now. Now it comes to delivery. Delivery is actually just fulfilling what you've solved. And this is where most people hit a wall because they can get clients, but they can't scale delivery without drowning in work. Now, let me show you how to think about this using the same mental models that we used previously. Let's use first principles. Again, strip away all the bullshit. What's actually required to deliver a sales system? Most people think, I need to build a custom automation, set it up on their infrastructure, manage their campaigns, blah, blah, blah. Wrong. That's the vehicle, not the actual outcome. So here's what's actually required. 1, generate the outcome you're going to promise, qualified intros, whatever you sold. 2, make it reliable, which means works consistently, not just once. 3, make it repeatable. You can do this again for the next client. That's it. Now notice what's not on that list. Custom infrastructure for every client, building everything from scratch, spending 40 hours per client. Most people overcomplicate delivery because they think they need to build something unique every single time. You don't. You need to deliver the outcome. The system is just the vehicle. Now, let's use inversion. What would guarantee you can never scale delivery? Well, 1, building everything custom for every client. Every new client just means like starting from scratch. You're trapped in like service hamster wheel, which is exactly where I was as an Upwork freelancer before going all in my sales team agency, being a generalist, building all kinds of like AI automations for completely different clients, which means every single time it's a different system. Now, how do you scale this? Impossible, right? Because you have to understand that you are the bottleneck. Revenue caps at your available hours. If every delivery takes just as long as the last one, you'll never get faster, and that makes clients dependent on you for everything. They need you to make every change, handle every issue. So you're stuck in like what I like to call support hell. So if those things guarantee a never scaling, what's the opposite? Well, use the same core system for every client, productize delivery, delegate or automate the execution. Build once and deploy many times, templates, frameworks, repeatable processes. Now, blitz scaling for delivering, when you're going from 0 to 25K a month, your delivery doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to work. Most people spend months building the perfect system before taking their first client. That's backwards again. Take the client. Deliver something that just works. Improve it for the next client. Your first client gets version 1, for example. It's not polished. Your second client gets version 1.5. You fix the obvious problems. By client 5, you have version 2.0. Now it's actually good. So you're prioritizing speed of learning over perfect execution. Because here's the truth. You can't build the perfect system in theory. You only figure out what works by actually delivering. And my principle that I routinely use is done and improving beats perfect and never shipping. You always got to be shipping, right? So get the client, deliver the outcome, even if the process is messy, sloppy. Learn what breaks, fix it for the next one. And that's how you can scale delivery fast. Not by perfecting it before you start, but by iterating in real time with real clients. All right, so that's delivery. Productize it, avoid being the bottleneck, iterate fast. Now, let's talk about upsells, okay? Which is essentially just extracting more value, which literally just means upselling clients and getting more money per client. Now, upsells are extremely important because getting customers and delivering is great, but extracting more value per client is how you actually hit 25K a month without needing like 50 clients. For some context, I work with 6 clients every 6 months, all in a 6-month contract. So the way I'm going to explain this is I'm going to use something called incentives cost bias. What makes people stay? What makes them pay more? Again, let's strip down the first principle. Why does a client pay you more money? Well, thinking about it, it's a because you've already delivered value and they want more of it. That's it. That's the whole game, guys. You can't upsell someone who hasn't gotten results from your core offer. They need to see that what you did worked. And that's what's actually required for upsells. One, deliver the core outcome first. They need to see the ROI, meaning I gave you money, I get my money's worth. The second thing is then you find what else they need, additional problems they're willing to pay to solve. Third thing is just make the upsell feels inevitable, like the natural next step, not a hard sell. Don't make the dumb mistake of trying to upsell too early. Don't land a client and be like the guy or the girl that pitches more services without even delivering the first one. That's not an upsell. That's like a desperation. So upsells work when you've already proven yourself first. Now, thinking in reverse, which is using the inversion, obviously, what would guarantee a client never buys an upsell from you? Well, not delivering on the core promise. If the sales system you built doesn't actually generate intros, they're not buying anything else from you again. Not having a relationship. So if you've delivered the work and disappear, you have no trust, and no trust means just no upsell. So now let's think about what's the opposite? Well, deliver the core outcome first. Prove you can deliver. Upsell related services, which means solve similar problems they actually have. What I usually do is I usually just sell them a CRM integrations or more volume. It's easy for them to say yes because it's a clear offer, low friction, while aligning the incentives. And by the way, this is very important. From Charlie Munger, which is one of my greatest mentors, he said, show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcome. And also I think Benjamin Franklin, he said to be able to persuade a man, appeal to interest, not to reason. Now, let's talk about this because it's very, very important. Because if your incentive is to extract as much money as possible from the client and their incentive is to spend as little as possible, you're misaligned. That creates tension. That kills the upsell for you. But if you structure the deal so that you can win, and they also can win, now you're aligned. Now the upsell becomes a partnership, not a transaction. Now, how do I do this? Well, when I upsell a client on more volume or a CRM integration, I don't just charge a flat fee and disappear. I tie part of my compensation to the results. For example, I'll set up the CRM automation for X dollars, but here's the deal. If this system helps you close 20% more deals and in the next 60 days, you pay me a performance bonus of Y, usually 10K. So what's my incentive to make sure the system actually works and drives results? What's their incentive? Well, to say yes, because they only have to pay the bonus if they're already winning. So we're aligned. Or with volume, I can say my system generates 6 intros per month. Now I can scale it to 6 months per month for an additional X amount of dollars. But we only increase the volume if your close rate stays above 10%, for example. If it drops, we pull back until we fix X, Y, and Z. Now, what's my incentive? To maintain the quality, not to just pump volume. What's their incentive? To say yes, because I'm protecting the return on investment, not just chasing my fee. So we're aligned. So the principle is when you align incentives, the upsell stops feeling like a pitch and start feeling like a partnership. The client isn't thinking, is this person just trying to get more money out of me? They're thinking, this person only wins if I win. Let's do it. So that's the power of the incentives. That's how you make upsells easy, because what you have to understand is that people's behavior is driven by their incentives. If you understand what they're incentivized to do, you can predict their behavior, which is a super powerful practice. You can literally predict the behavior of a person. So like I said, clients want more of what's working. For example, you built them a sales system. It's working. Now they have too many leads to handle manually. The upsell is CRM automation to manage pipeline, qualify leads faster, track follow-ups. Well, now they're closing deals, but manual invoicing is a mess. The upsell is payments automation invoicing system, client onboarding flow. See the pattern? The upsell solves the problem your success created. Very, very interesting, right? So you create problems through success, which naturally leads to upsells. That's the greatest line, right? It should be in a book. Maybe I'll include this in my next book. All right. So let's talk about blitzscaling upsells. Now, most people think that I need to pitch more services to make more money. No, that's backwards again. That's not blitzscaling. That's spam. So here's how blitzscaling works for upsells. Deliver so much value on the core offer that upsells becomes obvious. You're not selling the upsell. You're identifying the next problem they're facing because you're success and offering to solve it. Again, speed here means identify the upsell opportunity fast, present it simply, close it quickly. No long proposals, no complex pitch. Just say, hey, notice you're getting 6 entries per month now. Are you tracking all these manually in a spreadsheet? Or just want me to set up a CRM system that automates this? Done. That's the whole pitch. So if they're getting value and you're solving a real problem, they'll say yes fast, right? Now, let's talk about the last thing, which is retention, right? See how simple that is when you like just break it down in like simple mental models? Now, retention is super important because landing clients and upselling them is great. But if they churn after 2 months, you're constantly starting over from zero. Retention is how you make this shit work for years and years on end. So let's again use first principles. Why does a client keeps paying you every month? Strip away all the tactics again. What makes a person pay me every single month? What's actually required? Well, one, they're getting continuous value. Results don't stop month after month. The second, then, it's easier to keep you than to replace you, which means switching cost is high. Three, you're solving new problems as they arise. So you're not static, you're evolving with them. And that's it. Most people think that retention is about staying on top of the mind or like sending monthly reports. Wrong. Retention is about continuous value delivery and high switching costs. If the system you built stops working, they cancel. If you delivered once and disappeared, they cancel. If they can easily replace you with someone cheaper, they cancel. So retention isn't like a tactic. It's a structural decision about how you deliver. Now let's use inversion again. What would guarantee a client cancels after a few months? One is you're not involved anymore. You delivered the system and checked out. They don't need to keep paying you, which is the reason why most are stuck at like 1 to 2K a month, because they sell once and now they need to go back to square one. The second thing is they can easily do it themselves. If the system is so simple, they realize I could just run this myself. So they will cancel. You're not adapting. So the market changed, messaging gets stale, competitors adjust. If you're not constantly iterating, results will drop, so they leave. So if those things scale retention, what's the opposite? Well, maintain or improve results over time. Like month 3 should be better than month 1. Stay actively involved. Make yourself hard to replace. Your expertise, not just the system, the value is in your expertise, obviously. Continuous iterating, so you're always improving based on the data. Now, let's apply incentives once again. What's a client incentivized to do if your system is consistently generating intros month after month? Well, keep paying you because the ROI is obvious. If you're charging 5K a month and they're closing 20K a month in new business from your intros, why would they cancel? They're not. They're incentivized to keep you around. But here's the key. You need to make the value visible. Most beginners, freelancers, and entrepreneurs in the AI and automation space deliver great results, but the client forgets about it by month 3. You need to consistently show them what they're getting. Well, how do I do this, Sal? Well, every month I send like a simple summary. Intros generated this month, for example, the number, deals closed that I know of, number. The third number is gonna like what I optimized, like the changes that I've made. That says 5 minutes. I create it. Keeps the value in mind because I like this quote. It's a beautiful quote. It's out of sight, out of mind. Now they're not thinking, should I cancel this 6-month expense? They're thinking, this system generated 8 deals in the last few months. It'd be stupid to cancel. Boom, incentives alive. Now, blitzscanning for retention is that most people think that retention is about like relationship management or like this, like all this jargon, like being nice. Yes, it does help, but it's not the core. The core is, are you making the results better over time? If month 1 generates 2 intros and month 6 generates 5 intros, that's excellent. Now they're never leaving. So the blitzscaling approach is that you're constantly testing and improving. You're not waiting for them to complain for results to drop. So you're proactively iterating fast so that results improve over time. Now, the principle of retention isn't like keeping clients happy with the same thing. It's about making them consistently more successful over time. So if your system/automation improves their results every month, they'll never leave. If you're stagnant, they'll find someone else who's innovating. All right. So that's the complete skeleton. The first thing is distribution, which means getting customers. How do I get customers? Well, systematic outreach. Avoid being inconsistent. Prioritize volume over perfection. Delivery is productize the system. Avoid being the bottleneck. Iterate fast. Upsells, solve similar problems. Align incentives. Retention, maintain results. Stay involved. Iterate continuously. And when you have all these 4 working together, 25K a month just becomes predictable and just super easy. And this creates this Lollapalooza effect, which means multiple forces are working directly in the same time. Distribution feeds delivery. Delivery gets you upsells. Upsells increases the money or cash you'll make per client. Retention just compounds everything. And that's how you scale. So I'll talk to you soon. Peace.